But speaking of information being used, we have to talk about Planeteer. Yes, Planeteer. Everyone says, oh, big tech, oh, Planeteer, oh, but it's so scary. Oh, government surveillance, which I have always, and this is obviously going to be a hot take. People are going to be mad at me for this. People are always mad at me, so it's fine. I've always been a fan of the intelligence agencies. The NSA is my favorite intelligence agency. And, I despise the Patriots kind of. Go Seahawks. They're going to win the Super Bowl. Instead of been the Texans, but whatever. But I do like the Patriot Act. I'm not joking, guys. Not a joke. I'm not being held at gunpoint here or anything. I'm not some sort of asset. Yet I didn't get my subscription to what's the software? That's yes, I did not get my subscription to Pegasus yet, nor had my $6,000 or $7,000 check cashed. So I'm not being held. Nonetheless, let's talk about Planeteer, the very scary technology. Wired did a report on them, and I recommend that you go read the Wired article if you have enough credits. If not, put it into Archive PH, and let's read the quote that they said. From the Wired article, quote, they can also centralize everything an agency knows about a person in one place, including their eye color from their driver's license or their license plate from a traffic ticket, making it easy to build a detailed intelligence report. So this is how Planeteer essentially is just software that somehow connects a whole bunch of random databases in the government and to whatever companies that pay them into one giant software, one giant database. So let's say you have a database of IDs. Let's say you have a database of crime reports. Let's say you have a database of housing data, like where people live. Let's say you have a database of cell phones. And because, of course, the government's technology is just incompetent, the government, they don't know what they're doing. They build technology and it's very bad. Have any of you ever been to a government website? Very bad technology. It's built on computer code from the 50s on the back end. I was reading something about how the airlines, I know it's not really the government, but airlines have technology in their flight scheduling software, which is based in the 70s. And then just whatever software that you're using to book your flights is just a wrapper for that. So essentially, the technology that's being used was created 50 years ago. But nonetheless, databases are very bad. They're out of date. It's going to take millions and millions of dollars to update. They're probably insecure too, but they're probably so insecure that they never actually made it to the internet. Probably still using like Telnet, I don't know, dial up. Heck, there was one database where people were using bicycles to move data around. So they had to get on a bike. If they wanted to look up a file, go find their name in a cabinet, bike in the mountain, and go get it, and then bring it back because everything wasn't digitized yet. And this was like from last year. So, we actually have a database that's just a bunch of people in a mountain biking, being paid money for that. And what Planeteer does is that they make it easier, except for the bikers, because the data has to be digitized. It has to be at least brought into the 20th century, guys. Just put it on a typewriter. Planeteer will use OCR for you. But anyway, what Planeteer does is that they digitize the data. If it's digitized, they connect all the databases somehow. I don't know how. They kind of call it a magic sauce. They kind of call it like a pipes that kind of connect everything together, a magical plumbing, which is really cool. They should call it Mario or whatever. But it connects all the data together to bring you a detailed intelligence report. And people are like, oh my goodness, it's so creepy, it's so scary. We don't know what they do. I just explained it. But, I didn't really understand what they did. Anyway, but doesn't that sound so cool? Now, when I was in high school, of course, with the SSALTW.blogspot.com series, we had the QuestNet database where we were tracking that. And of course, we had information and taking notes about the day-to-day in life. And of course, we had notes on my phone talking about the day-to-day in life because it would be easy to take them on my phone onto the computer so there were more notes on their phone as well. Of course, we had video and audio data, archived messages, snaps. We had special reports, Instagram posts. You see what I'm going with here? We had multiple silos of data coming into SSA HQ, right? We had the post, we had notes that I was taking, we had video data, we probably had GPS data of our own house. One time we traced Summer's earphones onto someone else's house because they got stolen or something. We tracked them down for free. We have done more for Summer than anyone in American history, but I digress from that. we have all this data, but it was kind of all spread out. It's on Samsung Notes, it's on Google Docs, it's on my phone's hard drive. Technology and software like Planeteer could have helped me analyze this data a lot more. Now, unfortunately, when I was writing the SSA LTW web series, SSALTW.blogspot.com, I started using the Mongo database or Memento, some random database application on my phone, right? I used that to write the series to keep people's real names along with their fake names straight, so I wasn't actually doxing anybody. Well, I should have been using that in school, actually. But so I didn't have as much data. But if I had as much data as the government had, and was able to use it to analyze it and create some sort of course of action, like maybe calling in a missile strike or arresting someone or finding their license plate number, using all of this data into one centralized hub, that would have been amazing. And I've always dreamed about technology and software like this, even before I knew what Planeteer was, even before I started typing everything into Google Docs, even before I started taking pictures. Heck, even when I was homeschooled and there was no one to collect data on. This technology would have been so freaking impressive to have. I mean, think about this, especially if you're the government. Because I tried to build my agency like this. I tried to build it, bringing in all the reports, trying to transcribe walkie-talkie reports, plugging in my SDR, seeing what's going on in the chatter around me, taking reports and notes and having some sort of 3D GIS software with like 3D cubes, and you can see maps of everything, and you can see live location data. Like I just, I like the NSA. I like this kind of spy technology. And you know why? Blame Focus, guys. Blame Focus for my obsession on this. You had me listening to Divergent Odyssey, Novacom. You had me listening to Jason Whitaker going around, Jillian Marshall going around being a spy. I mean, blame Focus on the family if you want to know why I'm like this. Nonetheless, this technology is so cool. It's kind of like everything I've always imagined a computer to be. Like you have a database, you type in, what's this? And of course, you have to know how to collect the data. You have to know how to use the data. You have to know what data to collect. And I think if we see some of this sort of technology from Planeteer, which is the kind of technology that I've always imagined, and the technology that we see actually in the media, like how you can actually track something without having GPS location, a homing device, like in episode 152, 153 of Adventures in Odyssey, they use that to have a nice, cool map. You see these 3D maps, 3D file systems, 3D databases. We love 3D. We love Neon. We love spy technology. We love Planeteer. We love Perplexity and Planeteer. Doesn't that sound so cool? Think about this. Let's say you have the Perplexity search engine onto Planeteer, which is going over all of your data. You type it in. Wouldn't that be amazing? You type it into your computer and hopefully you can get it to work all offline. Like the technology that we see in the media and the technology that we see in real life just does not mesh right. And I've always been I'm not an idealist. I'm a strategic pragmatist. Okay, so I'm not going to go around and start fighting for ideals. I'm getting nuked. Okay, see, this is of course why I've been able to ally with certain people that whatever. But anyway, I've always had these ideals and been interested in cool technology, and I've always been interested in espionage and mapping and just being able to use data to create and analyze decisions. I've also been interested in the behind the scenes. Football is my favorite sport. Obviously, it is a great sport. Right, it's much better than baseball, much better than basketball, much better than baseball. But football is a great sport. But I've always wondered, how does Amazon Web Services or whatever data analytics software that they're using in football know how they are going to do something? Like when the Minnesota Vikings beat the Indianapolis Colts after being down 33-0. What an amazing game that was, by the way. What a great game, right? When the Minneapolis Vikings finally scored, they scored and it said they had like a 0.6% chance of winning. How do you know that? What kind of math are you doing for that? I want to be able to predict something like that on my own computer. I was talking to Perplexity the other day, and I was talking about, let's say I want to invent my own game. Right, a real game that exists in real life, but it's not a real game like baseball or basketball, and you want to analyze these statistics and have a guess something like this. So how can I create a software that can analyze how good someone is at this sport? When you look at these things from the lens of a computer, this might be interesting. Let's say we're trying to get a ball into a hole, right? Like a basketball, but maybe the goal is like slightly lower, like it's down here, like cut pong or whatever, right? And maybe you have to bounce the ball. Well, I want to analyze how bouncy the ball is. I want to analyze how big the ball is. I want to analyze like what would happen if I dunked the ball and it bounced in, what kind of arc and trajectory I need, how I was feeling under pressure. That's all these kinds of data points that I would need to create some sort of simulation so I could get this as well. Once we can get that kind of technology working, then maybe we can analyze this for a real sport like football or basketball. We can track the arc of a football going 70 yards, see how the receivers will hit it. But no, all we're interested in doing is using this RAM for some video game like GTA 6, which, speaking of, I've been chatting with Grok and all these things as well. You know, how we talk about the artificial intelligence, Ava Harper, who's, of course, going to be coming back as a clipping account because we actually have to make money, right? We exist as a company to make money. I've been talking about this, but before artificial intelligence, of course, we know that there are character customizer games where you can kind of customize your character to wear, outfits, or you can change their hair or whatever, and you can kind of simulate them walking around, kind of like The Sims. I tried to play that, it didn't really work, but nonetheless. But let's say you had a full character customization thing, of course, within limits. But you have full character customization. You can do things with them, and then there's cause and effect. We could go in and finally have our very own high school simulator, college simulator, real life simulator that actually works really well. And of course, the characters, maybe they'd actually look a lot better than a bunch of random pixels on a screen. And I'm just really waiting for that technology to happen. That's what I'm talking about, simulating things with the computer. We have so much RAM and technology and processing power, Snapdragon chips, Intel chips, and I really want to simulate something with my computer. Come on, guys, let's get the simulations going. What is going on? And like I've talked about with the teen sitcoms, I'm so ready for artificial intelligence to make a good teen sitcom. Maybe not generate one with video yet, but because it's kind of off, you can tell. Obviously, I don't think it's going to be able to hold up for a 25-minute episode. I just don't. But maybe you might be able to hold up with the script writing. I've been trying some script writing. It's not that good yet. I know Matt Walsh is mad about this.